Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. RowPaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Joining BJ Rains today is KTVB Sports Director Jay Tust. Check him out on Twitter at KTVB Sports Guy and make sure to check out KTVB.com. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Now here's Jay Tust and BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hello, Jay.
What up, bud? How are you?
Good.
Can you even hear me? Is this thing on? It's been a while.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. I'm Naismith, and that's Jay Tust. And I heard you had a baby.
I did, bud. I did.
What's his name?
We're trying to catch you guys. We got 2 kids, 1 boy. Any advice?
I don't know. Well, congratulations. And everybody, otherwise, hit the subscribe button at BroncoNationNews.com.
Good job, Naismith.
All right. It was a momentous day with Jay Tust coming back.
I love it.
Naismith heard about it, wanted to jump on and say hello there at the beginning of the show. And now we'll get back to business here.
That's
Bronco
perfect.
Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com. We are back, our Tuesday edition. And yes, Jay Tust has returned. We were able to get him after probably 1 or 2 hours of sleep last night. We were able to get Jay back, and excited to have you back, Jay. Been talking to you, obviously, but congratulations. Yeah. Big news in the Tust household, and hope everything's going well, man.
It's going pretty well. I would complain about sleep, but let's face it, he's 2-ish weeks old, 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks old, actually. So he's figuring things out, and so are we. And there he is right there, little Brooks. So he's awesome. He sleeps like a tank during the day. The night thing we are still trying to flip and figure out. I said this joke probably way too many times, but we think he feels like he was born in London or something, because we're on our way to figuring out the whole day and night thing. But he already looks bigger than that. Those are newborn pics. He already looks bigger than that, BJ.
Well, that's awesome, man. Happy for you. Congratulations. And happy that you're able to, for 30 minutes or so, sneak away to jump on the show with us today. Congrats again to Camille and the entire Tust family. And as someone commented here, let me find it real quick. Naismith and Brooks, the next generation of BNN. So
let's go.
I hope BNN is still around at that point when they're ready to take over. That would be awesome. But
that would be epic.
A lot of exciting folks comments welcoming you back, congratulating you, Jay, in the chat. There's Perry, Kurt. We got Dennis on here as well. So everybody's excited. And as Chris Lauder reminds us, almost football season.
Yeah,
so,
it is.
I know it had to be probably killed you, Jay, to not be down there at media days in Las Vegas. But obviously, you had you were where you needed to be and where you should have been. But obviously the start of the unofficial season with media days there, Brady did a great job for KTVB, and I know you were still involved in watching everything and tweeting stuff out. But overall, media days in the books. We got the little week here where not a lot is going on. We got the basketball Canadian trip coming up. I wanted to touch on that with you, but we'll probably hit that mostly on Friday as they get set to leave on Sunday. And Bronco Nation News will be attending that trip. So looking forward to that and getting some coverage for that and we're really excited about that. Again, that will be Sunday. I head to Vancouver. The games will be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then come back Friday. And Monday is also the first day of Andy Avalos. That'll be quite the Monday, hopefully for some traffic at BroncoNationNews.com. You got Andy Avalos pre-camp press conference during the day, and then I believe 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, you got the big game with Trinity Western on Monday night. So a lot going on. And again, I do want to quickly give a shout out to our sponsors. We could not go on this Canadian trip if not for the 3 sponsors that you see listed there at the bottom of the screen. Your guys, Atkinson's Mirror and Glass, man. They stepped up as a sponsor on this trip. I know you have golfed with them in the tournament a couple of years, and they are they were very supportive of this trip when I called them and asked them if they wanted to do it. So Atkinson's Mirror and Glass, 4th generation family business, helping Idahoans build equity in their homes since 1951. For all your glass needs, you can visit AtkinsonsMirrorandGlass.com, 208-375-3762. Atkinson's Mirror and Glass, a proud sponsor of Boise State Athletics and the Horseshoe Collective, and a golfing buddy of Jay Tust. So we appreciate Atkinson's Mirror and Glass, Jay, for stepping up.
Yeah, those guys are awesome over there. Cool to see them do that, BJ.
Brian King as well, RBC Wealth Management. Want to give him a shout out. Nick Duncan's working for him. Obviously, he's a big supporter of Boise State Athletics. Investors, discipline planners, financial advisors, not just one, but a team. You get a highly personalized investment team of professionals and the vast resources of a global financial institution. As financial advisors and community leaders, they prioritize the best interests in their clients and hold themselves accountable to accomplish what is right for you. Their team brings a world-class level of financial experience, knowledge, and resources to clients in our community and across the country. So again, rbcwealthmanagement.com. You can slash King Barrios Bartlett. You can look them up. Just search Brian King, RBC Wealth Management. You see the phone number on the screen there. But Brian King also stepping up for this tournament, as well as Matt Bauscher. We'll tell you about him later as well. But just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors making the Canadian trip possible. I mean, it's pretty hard to fathom, Jay. I mean, it just shows the interest in Boise State basketball at this point, and shows where Bronco Nation News is. But I think in general, just this community that you have, an outlet like ours making the trip to Canada, and the fact that multiple sponsors wanted to help pay for it. So it's going to be a fun trip. Looking forward to that. And should be exciting. And we'll be talking about that tonight, Jay. Episode 4 of the Tyson Degenhart Show is tonight. And newcomer starting point guard Roddy Anderson will be the guest of Tyson Degenhart tonight on the Tyson Degenhart Show. So check that out, 8 p.m. tonight. And again, we appreciate Idaho Central Credit Union for sponsoring the Tyson Degenhart Show, ICCU.com for all of your banking needs. Tonight, 8 p.m., Tyson Degenhart, Roddy Anderson will preview the Canadian trip and talk about their practices. Remember, Jay, well, you know this, but for fans that don't, they get 10 practices leading up to the trip, which is actually more important than the games themselves for usually is the case. You get 10 full practices, 10 full days of basically in-season practices in July. So we'll catch up and hear how the things are looking with the team and from Tyson and how Roddy Anderson is adjusting to things. So that'll be 8 p.m. tonight on the Tyson Degenhart Show. Perry says, when is Jay joining BNN full-time? Everybody else is. So, we'll who knows? No, Jay, we are appreciative that you're helping us out on Tuesdays and Fridays, continuing that moving forward here. I think Mike Prater called it the Boise State Media Dream Team, but we'll throw Brady in there and all the great folks at KTVB and what you guys got going on, and excited about what we got moving forward. Yes, we do have Jordan K in the fold. We have Mike Prater in the fold. Jordan posted an interesting article today. Subscribers, you can head on over to BroncoNationNews.com and read that. And by the way, we did just get the Andy Avalos bat signal. They do have a new recruit for the 2024 season. It was actually pretty funny, Jay, because that happened like right within seconds of when I saw Davis Harsin send out his commitment tweet to Idaho State. And I had to do a double take real quick when I saw the Davis Harsin one to make sure that was not Boise State that he was committing to, because we saw the Andy Avalos bat signal. But Davis Harsin, congratulations to him. Brian Harsin's son, he is headed to Idaho State to play for Cody Hawkins, the obvious connection there. But Boise State does get a new commit in the class of 2024. We will have that. Jordan K will be all over that today, writing an article on that. But the article that I did want to briefly touch on, Jay, that one of the big topics at Mountain West Media Days that Jordan just posted at BNN. Subscribers, go on over there, BroncoNationNews.com, and read it, is about coaches burnout. And with the way the transfer portal works now, there's just not a lot of time off for coaches. The summertime, which used to be the time where coaches could get away, is now filled with transfer portal visits and all kinds of other stuff. And a lot of the coaches are concerned about burnout from the coaching staff. And some very good comments and thoughts in there. Jordan talked to all 12 Mountain West coaches at Media Days and put some comments in there from all 12 of them. What is your take on the current, I guess, recruiting calendar, the schedule, and with how crazy the transfer portal is now in the spring and summer, the time that coaches used to get off, really, they're not much off anymore.
Yeah, I think that there should be something done about it, to be all in all honesty. I mean, I know that these coaches are making a lot of money now. I completely understand that. And if, I could make what Kirby Smart made, I would be willing to sacrifice a few years and a few hours of my time in order to do that. I completely get it. I know some of those guys aren't complaining. Some of them are complaining. I think that there should be some type of regulation. That's just me. Like, I don't, that's probably very unconventional and probably really hasn't even been floated as an idea. But, in many ways, they limit the hours that athletes can work out. I almost think that there should be some parameters for coaches as well. And it's not necessarily so that they have to do less, but I think it would be awfully interesting if it pushed efficiency and put a premium on that. Like, I read, I was reading about Nick Saban. I read a book on Alabama football the other week ago or whatever. And, you look at his support staff and things like that. And they are the premier program in the country for a reason, but they have resources also unlike any other. And so if there were certain modifications or limits put on things, not only with, the amount of bodies, but more than that, the amount of hours.
Yeah.
I just think it would be interesting because all of a sudden you would really push who can be the most efficient with their time, with their athletes, when they're just with their, fellow coaches and things like that. But, working 7 days a week isn't a lifestyle that anybody wants to or should want to live, in my opinion, especially if you have a family.
Yeah, and there's some telling quotes in there. So again, BroncoNationNews.com. You got to be a subscriber. Jump on board. We'd love to have you. We're approaching 100 new subscribers since we made the news last week with Jordan and Prater. So interest has been very high. We appreciate those of you that have jumped in. And I hate to do it. I know some people just assume they can go get their stuff for free somewhere else, and that's great. Go for it. But a lot more of the stuff's going to be locked down behind the paywall here as we continue to move forward with our business model. And with got to pay 2 big salaries now, and Jay is negotiating for more money now that his family's bigger. So we're doing what we can here to take care of our employees, and we got to do that by we got some great sponsors, some new ones we're going to be telling you about moving forward, but also your subscription helps a ton. So hopefully you will find what we're doing worth it and pony up the $70 for a full year, or you can just do $6.99 a month if that works better for you. And we'd love to have you at BroncoNationNews.com. Anything else from Media Days stand out to you, Jay, from afar? We missed you at Circa, man. Awesome spot, Circa Resort and Casino, and they had we had Johnny jumping in the pool out there when he was doing his show on Tuesday. They had an event. A lot of the Boise media got together up at Legacy Club, the 60th floor rooftop, one of the evenings, and we're able to catch up with Jeremiah and Andy. And it was just a great. It was a lot of fun, man. And Brady did a great job. We saw his live shot out there at the pool one day and Stadium Swim, and then up there on the Legacy Club as well, and the sports book. So. We'll be back Mountain West basketball tournament. Hopefully get Jay down there again for another live shot over there if we do a joint event with the Blue Collar Club. We got some other bigger events planned. We're actually hoping to do a Bronco Nation News party out at Stadium Swim on that Friday of the semifinals, where Boise State fans will either be happy that their team's playing that evening in the semifinals, or lost the day before, but still have their tickets and going to hang around and go to the pool either way. So I think that Friday of Mountain West Championship Week make plans to join us for a pool party at the Cabana and when watching conference tournaments all over the screens at Stadium Swim. But your thoughts just in general, Jay. Boise State, 16 years in a row, picked to win. There was a little bit of discussion amongst Prater and Johnny and Jordan down in Vegas that Cordero was the pick over Taylon Green. You had George Halani, picked as the first team. Some people thought it should have been Ashton Genty. Only 3 players overall from Boise State made the first team. We haven't had a chance to get your thoughts on this. You haven't really had a chance to comment on it. So what's just, I guess, your any takeaways from Media Days?
Well, first off, I it's not on the media of why there was only one defensive player for Boise State selected. He was the only defensive player nominated by Boise State. So when we talk about what seems like an abnormally low number of Broncos selected to the preseason All Mountain West team, there was probably an abnormally low amount of Broncos nominated for that.
And they have that weird way they do it with you got to be a selection last year, and most of the guys that were selected last year are in NFL training camps right now. So it is what it is. But
it is.
You should point. That's a good thing to point out. Yes,
I just still think that there should be the exceptions to the rule. Like, I mean, I feel like a guy like Rodney Robinson is going to be in the mix to be an all-conference player last year, because when you look at his numbers from a year ago, they were absolutely solid, and one could argue that he would have absolutely been a contender to make the preseason All Mountain West team. Would he have done it? I'm not saying that, but he at least would have received a few votes. When you look at his numbers, he had 48 tackles, 3 picks, 6 pass breakups last year. I think 2.5 tackles for loss from his safety position as a first-year starter, only a sophomore. So I think that there should have been an exception made for a guy like him, because he will, without a doubt, be in the mix to be an all-conference player this year for the Boise State football team and in the greater good of the Mountain West. But either way, there just wasn't DJ Schramm was the only player that Boise State nominated on the defensive side of the ball, rightfully so. He was also up for Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, Easton Gibbs edged him out in the preseason ballot. If I'm being honest, I put DJ down. And the only reason why I did that is just because as a 6-year senior linebacker, he is very durable. He played through pain last year. I just see him putting up a very similar type of season as he did last year. And so I definitely think that DJ is worthy of a preseason all-conference nod at linebacker. On the offensive side, kind of one thing that I would say went under the radar a little bit, BJ, 4 offensive linemen were nominated by Boise State. Now that in turn is a high number. I had Ben Dooley as one of my guys that I put on the all-conference team to start the preseason, and I will confidently say I think he is on the end of the year award. He had a really awkward year last year dealing with some health issues. He really made a push to come back and play a little bit at the end of last year. If he's happy and healthy going into this year, which all signs point to that being the case, I think that he is without a doubt an all-conference type offensive lineman, especially when you start to see how things are going to be plug and played. It looks like he's going to slide right back into that right guard position. We talked about this previously. I think you tweeted this out, but we talked about this almost a month ago, BJ, of Mason Randolph looking like he could be a guy that would take snaps at center. And it looks like that's what he's going to do. That's going to be a big mental challenge for him. But going back, I guess what I really wanted to say about this, though, what I was really maybe my biggest takeaway of Mountain West Media Days, as you said, only 3 Broncos landed on the preseason team, right? And yet they weren't a unanimous favorite, but they were the overwhelming favorite pick to win the Mountain West Conference this year. So I guess what that suggests, BJ, is there's a lot of people out there that believe that the whole is greater than the parts. And if Boise State does go on and win this thing, there's going to be a number of guys that have breakout campaigns that are going to wind up on the postseason All Mountain West team that weren't even maybe even considered to be on the preseason team.
Yeah, Clint says, a lot of excitement towards this year's team, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But should we be worried with the defense at all? Most worries I have with the holes to fill. I will say this, Mike Prater wrote about it. You can read his column on the line, but there's this quiet confidence, and maybe it's not even that quiet, based on Andy Avalos telling us, but because you know how it is, Jay, you do the actual interviews, but there's other times where the coaches are just kind of standing around. You get a chance to kind of catch up with them and stuff where there's no microphone or no camera or whatever. And some of that's obviously off the record and going to remain private. But I mean, listening to Andy Avalos, whether it be in the interview or out of the interview, talk about his defense, he really seems excited. He really seems like this group is going to be better than people think. And as I said, if Andy Avalos is saying that, I'm going to take his word for it at this point. I mean, we all feel pretty good about, Oladipo and you mentioned Robinson and even Tubner. These guys have played a lot of football. The defensive line, I think, is where people probably have the biggest concern. But it seems like with these transfers and some of these guys that not to say that, Andy Avalos is predicting this is going to be a top 5 defense in the country by any means, but there's just kind of this quiet confidence, I think, that this group's going to be just fine on defense and they're not going to lose games, 50-49.
I'd be lying to you if I told you I wasn't worried about the defensive line. I mean, when you lose Scott Matlock and all the production that they lost up there,
even some of the other guys, like people are forgetting about Jackson Cravens, and he transferred, and who was Divino Bacheri, like just some key rotation guys that are gone, no doubt.
I mean, Jackson Cravens was a guy that didn't post monster numbers, but he was just a monster body in the middle of that defensive line that, would eat up blocks and do things necessary to help facilitate a solid defense, right? I would be lying, like I said, if I'm not going to be at least a little skeptical of the defensive line, because they just have a lot to prove. But I do love a lot of the guys that return there. I can't wait to see Ahmed come back as a year older, a year wiser, with more playing experience under his belt. I think Herbert Gums is going to be. Yeah, I'm excited to see what he's going to do. I just think that Herbert. I don't want to go as far as saying he's going to be a star or anything like that. I just like his potential. And I wasn't at Mountain West Media Days, so I wasn't a part of those side conversations. So nothing can be assumed here. I'm excited to see what a guy like Tyler Wiegis can do. Like, he comes over from Utah, didn't get him a lot of playing time there. He's been it's almost like it's been too quiet around him. I just think that he's a guy that can contribute to this defense, and I'm eager to see what that looks like. And we're just a little over a week and a half away from this really starting to ramp up and see these guys out there in fall camp and start to understand rotations and things like that. But I just my main takeaway, I just want to get back to it, is that only 3 guys on the Mountain West preseason team for Boise State. And yet, for some reason, everybody out there picked them as the favorites to win this thing, the overwhelming favorites to win this thing. And one thing I like about the non-division thing, by the way, BJ, and I think that the Mountain West should have done this. I've clamored for this. Back when it was divisions on the preseason ballots, they should have said pick an overall winner of the league. And I think that would have been a hotter topic than just doing divisions. Divisions was almost kind of vanilla, but if you actually pick a conference champion, that would have been awesome. Now, without divisions, Boise State, we can definitively say, is the preseason favorite to win the entire Mountain West Conference.
Yep.
And so I do like that we are back in that discussion mode. And I'm not going to lie, that probably does make the target on Boise State's back a little bit bigger, even if coaches tell you, no, we don't pay attention to that stuff. That's BS. So all those guys are going to go back, motivate their boys in the locker room, and say, hey, the Broncos are picked to be number 1 in the league this year. Let's go try and prove that wrong.
And it's funny because you mentioned the only 3 guys on the team. I don't remember the exact quote from Andy Avalos, but I feel like that's something where he's like using that as motivation. But yet he was the one that didn't put anybody on the team. So
I'm just saying, that's why I said at the beginning of this thing, you can't really fault the media completely there, whether it be the ones in Boise or the ones out of town that vote on this thing. I think it's all, a method to the madness. And, I think that, BJ, when you go back and you look at the last team that I would really probably consider, that I would really consider, on the borderline of elite at Boise State, I might have to go back to 2017. The 2019 team that won the Mountain West Conference Championship, they were very good, but I know that they, Hank Bachmeier was in and out of the lineup. He comes back and starts, but they were boat race. They were absolutely dominated by Washington in the bowl game.
Yep.
In 2017, they win the Mountain West Conference Championship. Leighton Vander Esch goes on to be a first-round draft pick. They I know that they only won by 10, quote unquote, but I would say they thoroughly dominated Oregon with Justin Herbert at quarterback to wrap up that season. So I think that 2017 team might be like the last Boise State team that I would kind of consider, and for the program standards, to kind of be elite. And on the preseason All Mountain West team that year, they only had 3 dudes, and Leighton Vander Esch wasn't even one of them. And he went on to win the league MVP that year on the defensive side of the ball. So sometimes going into a season a little more unassuming, if you will, isn't necessarily a bad thing. And I think that right now, just about anybody in Bronco Nation, I think they take a 2017 season right now,
no doubt,
as they have a lot of young bodies on that offense and defense that would come back next year and really set things up nice for next season. So that team won 11-3. They won the Vegas Bowl, which is now the LA Bowl for the Mountain West. I think that a lot of people would kind of be happy with a season like that right now.
Well, I mean, when you look at it, it's crazy to say, Jay, but I mean, I mentioned it to Johnny yesterday. The last 5 years, 5 years, Boise State has won Mountain West championships. I mean, you talk about they've lost twice at home to Fresno State. They lost to San Jose State down in Las Vegas. I mean, they've been in the title game, but that doesn't, in terms of winning the Mountain West championship, the goal up there on the scoreboard or up on their board in their facility, 5 years. To think Boise State, program that's they're just the standard of the Mountain West, only has one title in the last 5 years. I mean, it really is go time for them to try to get back to that level.
This program, they pride themselves on having a different standard, right? And so that I mean, I think we're just pointing out the obvious here. That probably isn't the standard that they want. I know that there's been head coaching changes and all, there's been COVID and all that stuff that's happened over the last 5 years. So there are some built-in excuses, but this would be a year where they get this thing trending back in the direction that does achieve their standard. And, BJ, I was kind of looking up some numbers and stuff just to try to help facilitate our coverage and do what I can, but not do too much or whatever. But that was one that I double checked, man. That was one I just made sure, because this is Boise State's 12th year in the Mountain West. Every single one of those years, they have been picked to either win their respective division or the league outright. And they've only won the league outright, I think, 3 times with 4 overall Mountain West championships. Yeah,
since they started the championship game, they've won in 14, 17, and 19, right?
Right. And so I had to kind of go back and look at that just to make sure, because that definitely made me do a little bit of a double take for sure.
Well, we'll see. A lot of excitement. And again, a week from today, Andy Avalos will meet with the media to preview fall camp. I was trying to kind of poke and pride a little bit, Jay, with some of the roster things. And he gave us the Cade Beresford one. He gave us Mason Randolph. But for the most part, he said, we'll talk about it next Monday. He did say that Markel Reed and Austin Bolt both should be ready to go for fall camp, which is a good sign. 2 guys that were injured in the season opener last year. But for the most part, it sounds like he's saving a lot of the position changes, news and notes, that stuff till Monday at media day, or at the media day at Boise State. So Monday, I don't know the time yet, but that'll be the time that we'll talk to Andy Avalos. Practice starts on Wednesday. Don't forget, I mentioned it yesterday. They moved up the schedule where you get the same number of practices, but you can start 2 days earlier, and that gives you more off days and hopefully helps with injuries during camp. So normally they would start on a Friday if they're playing on that opening Saturday, and now they're starting Wednesday. So they get 2 extra off days built in there to get things going. So full coverage coming next week of the football. We'll have Jordan and Prater at football. I will be in Vancouver, Canada with the basketball team. So we're going to have wall-to-wall coverage. And before we get out of here, Jay, I do want to briefly mention and talk about the basketball trip as well. We're going to talk to Leon Rice and some of the players this week. Later this week to preview that, and I want to hit on that real quick. But first, the Blue and Orange Store, blueandorangestore.com, reminds you they have free shipping for any order over $40. That's right. Just go to the blueandorangestore.com and get free shipping on any order over $40. If you're in the Boise area, just go to the Boise Town Square Mall. Pick up all their your new gear for the season at the Blue and Orange Store. Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com. 13 locations in the state of Idaho. Check them out. Shopridleys.com. Go download their new app. You need a new job? How about transportation compliance service? Get into the trucking industry. Maybe you haven't thought of it as a career path, but it's a great thing right now and very lucrative. So check them out. Transcompservice.com. It's a local company in Meridian that helps folks all over the world get into the trucking industry, the permits and things you need. So check them out. Transcompservice.com. Lithia Ford of Boise, they'll be back with the Lithia Ford of Boise pre- and post-game shows from Canada next week. You're welcome here at Lithia Ford of Boise. Check them out. View their full inventory of vehicles at lithiafordboise.com. Do what the Rains family did. Find a couple online you like, go in, test drive them, and make your decision. You'll be on your way, and we're very happy with our F-150. And again, their full inventory of vehicles is available at lithiafordboise.com. And our title sponsor, there would be no Bronco Nation news without the fine folks at rowpaint.com. So if you're looking to any kind of interior, exterior painting job on your siding or in your house or those concrete coatings, their specialty, make sure you check them out, roepaint.com. They'll come out and give you a free estimate, talk you through the process, and it's transformational in terms of the look of that concrete slab. They can, in one day, 24 hours, 5 times stronger than epoxy. We've got it in our garage and our back patio. Couldn't be happier with the fine folks at rowpaint.com. So make sure you check them out, rowpaint.com. And I mentioned Matt Bauscher Real Estate. He also stepped up. Not surprised, Jay, that Matt Bauscher, when I made the call, I was, first of all, I was in Mexico Mexico, and I was doing a little work because we were getting ready to head back that day, and it was like 7 something probably in Mexico, which means it was literally like 5:20 in the morning in Boise. I send Matt Boucher a text, basically thinking at some point later in the day he'll get back to me. But literally, I said, let me know when you have a chance to talk, a second to talk. Literally at like 5:20 Boise time, he's like, "How about now?" And he had already been finishing up his workout, and
Boucher was probably like, let's see, mile pace. He was probably just finishing up mile number 3, going into mile number 4.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, I don't know if he was still actually working out while we were talking. I think he had already finished, so he had gotten up even earlier. But appreciate him. Before I could even finish the sentence of how much I needed and what it was for on the Canadian trip, he said, "If it's basketball coverage, if it's helping you, I'm in. Let's do it. Send me the bill." So very appreciative. I already mentioned Atkinson's Mirror and Glass and our friends at RBC Wealth Management, but Matt Boucher as well, stepping up like he always does. BoucherRealEstate.com, the #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. Make sure you check him out. And as I said, Jay, I'll be leaving on Sunday. We're going to have a full morning show, so you'll still join me next Tuesday while I'm in Canada, and we'll have full morning shows. We're going to have some live guests, players, coaches, hopefully in the morning shows, and then also going to have live pre- and post-game guests as well. So we're hoping we can get some assistant coaches on maybe during the pregame show, during the layup line. We'll get Coach Rice, some players on afterwards. My goal, don't know if I'll be able to pull it off. My goal is to get an interview at some point on this trip with every player on the roster, so you can kind of get to know these guys and get to really get excited about this team moving forward. And we'll really break this down, Jay, on Friday. But any quick thoughts, just as we're less than a week away from this trip? They're in the middle of their 10 practices right now. Cam Martin, Omar Stanley, Roddy Anderson, all the newcomers, Andrew Meadow. Going to be pretty exciting to see this group kind of for the first time take shape here in Canada.
Yeah, I just think it's cool that, again, it goes back to just the fact that they're doing this year. I mean, this is a team that has some new pieces, and they have some young talent that I think has a chance to contribute, if not necessarily in the starting lineup, off the bench. And so we see this team, or we're going to see this team begin to take shape as soon as July 31st, which is kind of crazy considering that's 2 months before they can even really actually begin to officially practice as a team together.
Yeah.
And so this will be good. Leon used this obviously to his benefit, and it's going to be an exciting basketball season. It's cool that there used to be that kind of lull once, I'd say in the month of December, maybe end of November, but with the way the team's been playing and the hype around this year's squad, there's not going to be much of a lull. We'll just go right from football right into basketball, and in many cases, it's actually just going to overlap.
It is definitely going to overlap for some big games, and I feel bad, Jay, because last week I teased an announcement coming on a big game for Boise State basketball, and both teams have signed the contract, but the arena where they're playing the game at has not signed their version of the contract, so I've been instructed not to put this out there yet. So I'm not trying to, keep this tease going, folks. So I apologize. I expected it would already be out by now, but I can promise you that it's a quality, solid game to add to the schedule. And my understanding is it will be the Friday night, the night before the Mountain West Championship football game. So you get a nice weekend there, hopefully, of this on a Friday night and then the Mountain West Championship game on a Saturday. You mentioned, they've got the Clemson game coming up on a Sunday later in the season. Obviously then they go to that tournament, which is going to overlap with the Air Force game at the end of the regular season. So, early in the season, there's going to be some tough games, and we're going to find out a lot about this team. But you can take those foreign trips once every 4 years, as you know, Jay, and, to be able to get Cam Martin, Omar Stanley, all these guys, the extra 10 practices, see what you got, for a guy like Andrew Meadow. He's going to play 3 games, and I bet you we hear Leon Rice say, "Oh, he's a sophomore now," by the time the season starts, because he's got the 3 games and the 10 practices under his belt. But a lot of excitement for the basketball team. I'll be curious where they end up getting picked in the preseason. Talking about preseason poll, I would assume San Diego State coming off the championship game appearance. They lost some guys, but they hit the transfer portal as well, so they're probably your favorite. But and I know there's a lot of hype around New Mexico again and some other teams, but I could certainly see Boise State being in that 2-3 range going into the season.
Yeah, you mentioned the schedule too. It's this. It'll be a fun non-conference schedule. I'm confident in saying that, and I mean it already is.
The San Francisco game has already been leaked out or announced. I guess they're going to play San Francisco on the Sunday, the 12th, which will be their second game of the season after they play Wyoming, and that's another quality mid-major game as well.
Yeah, but I mean the thing about it is that works out for this team. This Clemson series, I hope that Clemson comes here next year. That's all I'm going to say. I hope that doesn't result in a buyout and that they actually make it to Boise. But the thing about that, Boise State's, when we look at their metrics, you can suffer quad 1 losses and it's not really going to hurt you too much. And so the fact that Boise State's resume and their their net effect and all that is so strong, it's really a big reason why these big programs will even pick up the phone and consider it, because it's a quality game for them. If they lose, it's not the end of the world. And so, Boise State, I understand that there might be some programs scared of, traveling to Extra Mile Arena and playing the Broncos due to their, alarming success there. But at the same time, you can come play that game, and even if you lose, it's not going to crush your resume. And so that's a big tip of the cap to the program that they've put themselves in this position to have opportunities like this,
and to be in a position that we're talking about them a week before fall camp starts. I mean, that's that just does show you the interest in basketball in this town now, and they're on another pace for record season tickets, and it should be a lot of fun. So we'll have the overlapping coverage next week. As I said, I'll be in Canada. Jordan, Prater, Jay, everybody will be at fall camp, and I think I'll miss the first 2 days of practice because of the Canadian trip, and then we'll be back on Friday and ready to go for fall camp as well. So overlapping coverage. We'll have it all for you, and Brady and Jay and everybody will have all the highlights and interviews and everything at KTVB as well. So make sure you're watching them and following them on the various social media channels as well. So
I can't wait, man. It's here. And I know you brought this up at the beginning, but it's not Boise State news, but it's still Boise State related news. I think it's pretty cool, man. Davis Harsin going to play for Cody Hawkins over at Idaho State.
Yeah.
At one point in time, Davis's dad, Brian Harsin, played for Cody's dad, Dan Hawkins, here at Boise State, and now he's sending his son over to Pocatello, and he's going to play for Cody, an up-and-coming coach. That's cool, and it shows how broad and strong that family tree that the roots started at Boise State, and it just continues to grow. So I do think that is pretty cool news right there for both Cody and for Davis.
Well, Jay, as we wrap it up, if folks missed it at the beginning of the show, congratulations again to you. First time we've had a chance to have you back on. And what's the significance with Brooks? You just like the name, or is there anything behind it?
We just like the name, man.
Awesome.
There was I got to say, we were surprised. We did not find out gender before birth. My wife wanted to do it that way, and we did. That was fine. That's obviously her call. I respect that.
I can't. I've talked about that with Johnny and those guys on the show last week. I think after we found out, I don't know if I could have done that, man.
Oh, it was one hell of a surprise. I got to tell you that. And hey, I will unequivocally reiterate and state that I would have been good with another girl. The one that we have is so awesome. I would have been perfectly happy being a girl dad, but it is nice to have one of each now, and baby Brooks is home and doing well. And as far as the name, BJ, there wasn't much of a significance. We have just liked the name for a while now, and it was funny going into it. We had our top girl names and top boy names, and I'm not in terms of putting it out there, we had to talk about it for a couple of days to make sure which one we liked and all that stuff. So we figured it out. And
okay, so the name was not for sure based on boy or girl. You still had to make the decision there.
Yeah. Oh, we had to. We went in with a couple of different names, and so
no wonder it took you 5 days to tell to announce what was going on.
Yeah, and then once we got the first name nailed down, we had to figure out the middle name, and my wife really wanted it to have meaning, and so he carried my name as his middle name, which is pretty cool, I think. But it took man. There's nothing like naming a kid. Like it feels like it's pressure, and right when you figure out what you're going to name him or her, then you start rhyming it and figuring out initials and being like, is this going to be like, is he going to be made fun of because it rhymes with something or anything like that? And so maybe, I don't know, but we feel pretty confident in Brooks.
Yeah, awesome, man. That's really cool. Congratulations again, and glad to hear everything is going well, and excited to get you back around practice and stuff. But take all the time you get and deserve and need. It's you're never going to get this time back, man. So it's awesome for you, and we're glad that we can at least get you away for 30 minutes and get you back on the show here. So we appreciate it. Thanks to Camille for holding it down in the background, and we will do it again on Friday, and we'll mostly talk basketball on Friday. Maybe get into exactly what we want to see with some of these newcomers, and talk about rotations and things like that on Friday, and play some sound from Leon Rice, who I think is talking on Thursday. So big basketball heavy show on Friday as we preview the Canadian trip, and then football again. We'll share the stage, I guess, with the basketball team next week, which is crazy to say, going into fall camp. So Jay, appreciate your time, man. And again, congrats. thanks for coming on. Thanks to everybody for watching. Go subscribe, BroncoNationNews.com. Read Jordan's article. We'll find out who that new commit is for the football team, and Jordan will have you covered. We'll get the story up on the website as well. So have a great rest of your Tuesday. Obviously, if more news breaks, we'll be back at BroncoNationNews.com. Otherwise, Jordan will join me tomorrow at 9 a.m., and looking forward to that. So he's Jay Tust. I'm BJ Rains. Thanks to RowPaint.com, all of our sponsors, again, from the Cutwater Studios. This has been Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com.